Hello, welcome to our Globe Perspective presentation. As a team, we explore the question of to what extent did clean air zone improve environmental problems without creating new problems?
Clean air zones are areas where action is taken to reduce vehicle emissions to improve air quality. They have been introduced to cities like London, Birmingham, and across Europe and Asia, often including charges for high-polluting vehicles. On the surface, clean air zones aim to tackle a serious environmental and public health issue, air pollution, which is responsible for thousands of early deaths every year.
However, while clean air zones are designed to create cleaner, healthier cities, they may also pose new challenges, especially for local drivers, residents, and low-income communities. This raises an important question: can environmental progress be achieved without causing social or economic harm?
To understand this issue from different perspectives, each of us focused on a specific viewpoint: local drivers, local citizens, and the government, and the global response. Through this, we aim to find out whether clean air zones are an effective and fair solution, both locally and internationally.
Since November 2022, drivers in Bristol have been faced with a new kind of roadblock: not just congestion, but cost. The city introduced a clean air zone aimed at reducing pollution. If your vehicle does not meet emission standards, you'll be charged with £9 each time you enter the zone. And if you miss that payment, that £9 fee can snowball and quickly into a £120 fine. It's halved if paid within 14 days, but still, it stings, especially for regular commuters or low-income drivers who may not have even realized they've been charged. It all runs automatically. Cameras track your plate and the charges process, but is it fair? Take Mr. James Leon for example, a driver who successfully appealed 12 fines. He described the system as unlawful, accusing the council of modern-day highway robbery. Cameras aimed at you, demanding payment with what he called. His appeals weren't even properly reviewed, he says. In some cases, the council doesn't reply at all. And he's not alone. Over half of all penalty charges appeals are successful, 56% in total. That raises eyebrows. Are drivers just careless, or is the system unclear and inconsistent?
As for now, around 70% of vehicles entering Bristol Clean Air Zone meet their required emission standard. That means nearly a third still face daily charges of £9. And if that fee is not paid, drivers are hit with a £120 fine. Here's one of the resident opinion.
I rely on my van for work, and upgrading to a compliant vehicle isn't affordable right now. It's not just about the cost of the fine, it's the cost of replacing the whole van. He's not alone. For tradespeople and small business owners, the financial burden of the clean air zone is a real concern, while the scheme aim is to cut pollution. Some say it's hitting those least able to adopt.
Some, however, are still confused about how it works. Concerns have been raised about the clarity of rules, especially for drivers unsure whether their vehicles are compliant. It's not clear which vehicle are affected, and I don't want to get fined by accident, noted by a concerned resident.
So we conduct a local survey to gather public opinion in Nanjing, a major city in eastern China, and received over 40 responses from residents across the city. Interestingly, around 73% of respondents said they support the idea of establishing or expanding low-emission zones in Nanjing, viewing it as an effective way to improve air quality and reduce traffic-related pollution. However, the results also revealed some concerns. Nearly half of the participants were worried about the financial impact, such as needing to replace their vehicles or facing inconvenience in daily commutes. On a positive note, over 70% of people said they would be willing to switch to greener modes of transport, like metro or buses, if low-emission zones were introduced in areas they frequently travel to. Only a small percentage, less than 10%, said they wouldn't change their travel habits. These insights suggest that while there's strong support for low-emission policies, there's also a clear demand for complementary government measures like subsidies and better public transport.
The UK government recognises that clean air is a basic right and the base of public health. Around 9,000 early deaths each year are linked to air pollution, especially in cities like London, meaning tackling this issue is a top priority for the government. As well as this, over 40% of London residents claim they've personally felt the effects of air pollution, for example having developed asthma. Many in power oppose the Clean Air Zone, with around 30% of urban councillors strongly opposing the idea. 70% of those who are in support believe there's a lack of national funding for them. In contrast to this, however, 62% of Londoners support the Clean Air Zone, and aren't they the ones whose opinion really matters? One major step is the expansion of the ultra-low emission zone, led by Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London. After developing asthma himself, he decided it would be a key policy objective for his administration and declared it a national health emergency. Despite controversy, especially in areas with limited public transport, it is designed to reduce pollution by charging the most polluting vehicles. He argues only 1 in 10 cars are affected, yet the impact could save thousands of lives.
The chart clearly shows that many cities with clean air zones, like London and Vancouver, have much lower air pollution levels compared to highly polluted cities such as Cairo and Mumbai. This suggests that clean air zones can be effective when supported by strong infrastructure and public transport. However, in more polluted cities, often in developing countries, these zones are harder to enforce fairly, as many people rely on older vehicles and have fewer alternatives. This highlights the global inequality in how air pollution is tackled and the challenges of applying one solution everywhere. While clean air zones often encourage the use of electric vehicles to reduce emissions, The Economist highlights that electric vehicles are not completely clean. Although they eliminate tailpipe emissions, they still contribute to air pollution through brake dust, tire wear, and particles from road surfaces. In fact, because electric vehicles are typically heavier than petrol vehicles, they may produce even more non-exhaust emissions. As the article states, brake dust may be more harmful to lung cells than diesel particles, raising serious concerns about the unseen impact of supposedly cleaner transport. This shows that even in cities where clean air zones promote electric vehicles, air quality problems may still persist. Clean air zones alone are not enough. They must be part of a broader issue that addresses all major sources of pollution, including vehicle weight and urban infrastructure.
This global comparison shows that while clean air zones can work well in some cities, especially in high-income countries, they are not a one-size-fits-all solution. Each region needs to adapt strategies based on its local context to avoid creating new social and economic problems. The data shows that air pollution is a shared problem, but how we solve it must be flexible, inclusive, and globally aware.
We believe that clean air zones are effective to an extent in resolving environmental issues without creating more problems. One major benefit is that there is a decrease in health issues like asthma. It has been reported by Bradford City Council that since introducing its clean air plan, there's real evidence of improvement in both respiratory and cardiovascular health across the city as air quality have improved.
Clean air zones are also effective in promoting the use of newer, cleaner vehicles. They encourage people to switch to low-emission cars or make use of alternative modes of transport. This includes choosing public transport, cycling, or walking, which not only helps reduce pollution, but also supports healthier lifestyles and reduces congestion in busy areas.
On a global aspect, we see an unfairness in less fortunate countries, which prevents them from having clean air zones or alternates of clean air zones. This means that those countries are increasingly polluted compared to countries like England. However, we do believe this can be resolved by international cooperation. For example, developed countries can support less fortunate nations through financial aid and technology transfer and capacity buildings.
However, on a national aspect, cities like London do not see an improvement in clean air zones, as they do not have a good enough proportion of clean air zones around its populated city that will show a positive improvement. And also, in the aspect of creating more problems is that people from less fortunate backgrounds who cannot afford new cars that fit the clean air zones guidelines may have many restrictions in driving.